First of all, I just want to say everyone has been really encouraging in the comments. Thanks so much. You've really inspired me to keep making this content. One of you suggested that I do a Chansey run. It's such a great idea. Let's take a peek at Chansey's stats. 5 in both attack and defense is pretty brutal. It should be illegal to have stats this low. In Generation 1, I have access to 105 in Special. That's going to be really helpful. I'm actually surprised how decent Chansey's speed is. Base 50 is going to be pretty good overall. By the way, her learn set is different between yellow and red and blue. For that reason, it's going to be slightly harder in yellow. On the TM and HM front, we get access to many moves. Because our special is so high, most of these moves are going to be fantastic options for us. For this challenge, I'll only be using Chansey to get through every battle. I won't use items in battle, sing, or glitches to progress further in the game. The badge boost glitch is fair game, as I may want to spend a few turns altering my stats. And with that, let's get into it. The rival fight in the Pokemon Lab highlights Chansey's lack of attack. Because we only have access to Pound, we cannot make use of our exceptional special stat yet. The number of times that Eevee landed Tail Whip here got me really scared. I was almost sure that with base 5 defense, it would take just one hit to take me down. Luckily, that wasn't the case. I survived, got some good luck, and ended up winning the fight on my first attempt. After that, I spent some time leveling up and make my way through Viridian Forest. I like to take Brock on immediately after clearing Viridian Forest. My first fight with Brock is quite bad. I'm not going to get access to another damage dealing move before I take him out. I'm going to have to level up to a point where I can just deal more damage to him or tank more damage from his Pokemon. At this point, I think this might be the slowest starting Pokemon yet. I'm not sure if I can beat him before level 21, which is my slowest start to date. After training up a lot, I head back at level 20 to see if this is enough. At level 20, things are a bit promising. I'm trying to just brute force him down, but I think a better strategy might actually be to use Tail Whip instead. I was pretty close to taking the Onix out despite how poorly my fight against Geodude went. The second fight is much more promising. I quickly land many Tail Whips against Geodude and switch into Double Slap. I was so surprised here that I landed 3 critical hits in a row. Because of how critical hits work in this generation, these attacks actually did less damage than they should have. After taking the Geodude down, Onix comes out. This one is easier because of Bide. This allows me to set up my Tail Whips without taking any damage. This fight takes some serious time because I'm doing so little damage, but eventually I get it done. Chansey wasn't the slowest Pokemon after all. Let's move on to Cerulean. On the way there, I pick up the TMs for Mega Punch and Water Gun. These are going to be very useful for Chansey. Because I have access to a special move, I can finally put my highest offensive stat to work. After taking care of Jesse and James, it's time to fight the rival in Cerulean. The best part of this fight is the fact that I know a water move. Quite rare for me to have one this early on in one of these runs. Because I know a water move, I can actually take the Sandshrew down right away. Sweet, sweet revenge against you little sand-attacking devil. After that, the rest of the fight is actually really easy. On the way to Misty, I grab the Elixir and the TM for Seismic Toss. Misty isn't a challenge. My high special stat in combination with my insanely high health means that her water-type Pokemon really can't do any damage to me with their special moves. Because of that, it's just a waiting game. After finishing off her Starmie, I move on to Vermilion. On the SSN, I get access to Body Slam. Obviously, our attack stat is very low, but this will take over as our stab move, at least for now. The rival here isn't challenging. Our special stat is really making this run a breeze. Again, I get to witness the Sandshrew getting taken out in a single turn. I'm really enjoying not getting sand attacked into oblivion. Surge is simple. I was a bit scared of Mega Kick and Mega Punch. Lucky for me, Surge's AI is terrible and switches into Thunderbolt after missing once. I tank it very well due to my high special stat and then strike back with Water Gun. Moving on to Celadon City, I'm so happy that I have a water move because now I can get past the self-destructing hiker without too many issues this time. Giovanni in the Rocket Hideout is easy. Both his rock and ground Pokemon are easy one-hits with Water Gun. After that, Persian comes out and gives me a bit of trouble before I finally take it down. At this point, I could have taught Bubble Beam to improve my move's power. However, I'm paranoid of teaching a move too early and regretting it later. If you haven't seen my Zubat run, yeah, that scarred me for life. For Erica, I teach Chansey Ice Beam. I learned my lesson here with my Tentacool run. Plus, I'm gonna need Ice Beam for Lance later on anyways. She opens with Tangela, one of the strangest Pokemon and the only mono grass type in the entire generation. It's a one-hit with Ice Beam. Because this is her tankiest Pokemon, from here it gets easier. Each of her Pokemon are one-hits. So far, Chansey is doing amazingly well in this run. In the post-Brock section of this game, it's feeling like the easiest run yet. An excellent example of how smooth this run feels is the next rival fight. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 KOs in a row. After grabbing the Pokeflute, I head down to Fuchsia City, grabbing Surf and Strength from the Safari Zone. Then I go head to head with Koga. He is very challenging. I don't have a move that can take his Venonats out in a single hit. Because of that, they can do two different things that drastically reduce our chance of victory. One is lower our special stat with Psychic, and two is poison us with Toxic. It becomes clear over a few fights that I need to have Rest in order to make this fight work. Having Rest as part of my moveset eliminates Toxic as a possible threat. However, it does become harder in another way. Now my special gets lowered over and over. Due to this, when the final Venonat comes out, I stall it and set up the badge boost glitch. After moving on to Venomoth, I realized that Body Slam is actually dealing more damage at this point because my attack stat hasn't been damaged at all. This realization leads to victory. Rival Fivel is next. Shout out to JRose11. He's a big inspiration of mine for these videos. Check out his Pokemon challenges, they're great. This rival is honestly pretty easy. Sandslash gives me an opportunity to set up a bit. I'll need a bit of a boost here to take the Cloyster out without wanting to pull my hair out. As you can see, this fight is pretty slow. It takes a lot of time to wear it down. After I finish Cloyster off, the fight gets much easier. Magneton is a 2-hitter, Kadabra gets taken out in a single hit. That bodes really well for the upcoming Sabrina fight. Flareon is last, and unfortunately I don't have anything that is strong against it. I've been intentionally holding back on adjusting my moveset since this run is going so well so far. I'd rather have a move when it gets harder and I can't progress, rather than optimizing for what I need right now. Luckily, Ice Beam does good damage to it and takes it down pretty quickly. Sabrina is next. I've saved Body Slam specifically for her. Check out this awesome footage. I was filming with my laptop not connected to my external monitor, and it just decided to make the emulator very small. So I beat Sabrina in that fight, but I wanted better footage, so I reset and tried again. Then this nightmare happened. I get hit by 2 flashes, and then Kadabra lowers my special with Psychic, and hits me with Kinesis. After that, I deplete all my PP on Alakazam. I'm stuck just trying to run out of moves in the hope that I might take it out. I misjudge how much damage Psychic will do on one of the turns, and it takes me down. Well, that's awkward. Okay, let's try again. This time, I still get hit by multiple flashes, but Kadabra doesn't get a chance to lower my special. After that, I get a clutch freeze on Alakazam and end up taking it down. I'm really glad it only took me 3 fights. Considering how easy the first fight was, I would have been pretty frustrated having to do this fight over and over again. Before Blaine, I teach Chansey Bubble Beam and finally remove Body Slam. Why Bubble Beam and not Surf? I'm not convinced I want a water move long term. I want to keep Rest, Defense Curl, and Ice Beam for the league. If I teach Surf in the 4th slot, I won't be able to forget it because there's no move deleter in this generation. Plus, Bubble Beam will be very strong against Giovanni. As one of you pointed out, water is 4 times effective against rock and ground types, where ice is only 2 times effective. Bubble Beam will be very good for the next 2 fights. Blaine opens with Ninetales, and I immediately use Bubble Beam. Miss. Great. When I hit Ninetales, it doesn't do as much as I was expecting. I guess the fact that it's a lower power move and that Blaine's Pokemon have good special are the contributing factors. Then Rapidash comes out and I realize that this fight is going to be tricky. It lands Fire Spin, outspeeding me, which could mean that it can infinitely lock me into this move. It misses second turn and I hit myself in confusion. Then it goes for takedown and does terrible damage to me. As a plus, it takes a lot of recoil damage. The next turn though, it knocks me out. Let's try again. Ninetales lands a critical hit quick attack and does a lot of damage. Rapidash locks me into Fire Spin, preventing me from using rest. Luckily I get out and rest up. After that, I take it down with a Bubble Beam. Arcanine comes out. This could be really bad. Takedown is going to deal a lot of damage. However, it derps around with terrible AI and I finish it off in 3 turns. That was harder than I expected overall. Going into the fight with Giovanni, I didn't think it was going to be very hard. He opens with Dugtrio. What I forgot is how fast his Pokemon are. It lands Earthquake first. This critical hit did so much damage. Despite Chansey's incredibly high health, the low defensive stat is what's really going on here that's going to make this fight challenging. The next 2 fights are similar. Guard Spec lands on Dugtrio and I take it out with a single Ice Beam. After that, Persian hits some brutal slashes. The fact that it gets critical hits all the time is an added complication. In the 3rd fight, I get to Nidoqueen, and Ice Beam doesn't take it out in a single hit. It hits back with Double Kick and takes Chansey down. I'm gonna have to spend a bit of time training here, since if I want to win this fight at my current level, I'm just gonna be relying exclusively on luck. At level 60, this fight is much more predictable. I'm not taking as much damage from Dugtrio anymore. After that, I can generally get past Persian without taking massive damage. It really likes to set up Double Team and Screech instead of doing damage. I outspeed Nidoqueen at this level and can take it down with a single Ice Beam. I believe I'm speed tied with Nidoking, as it sometimes goes first and ends the battle, or I get my hit off and take it down. Since Rhydon is a rock type and is very slow, I can take it down with Bubble Beam first turn. At this point, I want to remove Bubble Beam and teach Chansey Thunderbolt. It's going to be very useful against the rival's Cloyster, as well as against Lorelei, who is coming up very soon. The rival fight goes very well. Ice Beam for Sandslash and Execute. Switch into Thunderbolt for Cloyster. Magneton takes a bit of time to knock out. I got a freeze here, which made it very easy. After that, Kadabra is a 2-hit since I don't have any physical moves to take it down with. Flareon gets paralyzed right away by Thunderbolt and goes down quickly after that. This felt really good, but I'll likely have to have a different moveset by the time I get to the champion fight. So do you think I can do it? I'm level 62. Here we go. Lorelei opens with Dugong. Thunderbolt does a good amount of damage to it, but it doesn't knock it out. Because of my high special, I tank its Aurora Beam and then knock it out. Because Cloyster has lower special stat, I'm able to knock it out immediately with Thunderbolt. Slowbro is next. It's her tankiest Pokemon, so this one takes 2 hits. It doesn't know any physical moves, so I'm pretty safe against it. Jinx comes out, and I take it down over 3 turns with Thunderbolt. Chansey can easily tank its weak Ice Punches. With how this is going, maybe I'll get through this entire league with this moveset. It's working really well so far. Lapras is last, and I finish it off with 2 successive Thunderbolts. Now this might have been one of the easiest battles with Bruno. All of his Pokemon are 1-hits with the exception of Machamp. Yeah, that's all I got to say about this battle. Agatha opens with Gengar. I landed a clutch critical hit and take it down into orange health on the first turn. It doesn't go for substitute, so I take it down the next turn. Golbat is an easy 1-hit with Thunderbolt. I want to save Ice Beam PP for the final Gengar, because freezing it would make this battle much easier. At this point, Agatha does some really strange swapping between Haunter and Arbok and gets them both taken out without any issues. After that, the final Gengar is up. I can take it down in 3 hits from Ice Beam. Psychic can lower my special and I can hit myself in confusion, but after a few turns, I manage to get 3 Ice Beams through and knock it out. Lance is next. Gyarados takes 4 times damage from Thunderbolt and goes down immediately. Both of the Dragonairs are also easy 1-hits with Ice Beam. This is where things get a bit scary. Aerodactyl has access to Fly, which is a really hard-hitting physical move. Now I made an error during this fight. I should have gone for Ice Beam the turn that it hits me with Fly instead of using Defense Curl. Since I'm moving second, I have the chance to hit it on the second turn. Whoops, my bad. Dragonite comes out last. It knows Hyper Beam, and it will 1-hit us with that move. Luckily, it goes for Thunder and misses. My 4 times effective Ice Beam hits it and takes it down. At this point, I haven't used any of my rare candies, so I'm gonna try the champion at this level. Sandslash leads and Ice Beam makes quick work of it. Alakazam is next, and I luck out with a critical hit that takes it into orange health on the first turn. Executor takes 2 hits with Ice Beam. Just before I start using Thunderbolt, I want to apologize. This move has pretty gnarly visuals. Look away, folks with epilepsy. Magneton goes down over the course of 3 turns. It actually did a decent amount of damage to me. I'm able to one-hit Cloyster with Thunderbolt, leading to his ace, Flareon. After hitting it several times and taking it into low red health, it traps Chansey in a Fire Spin. 1, 2, 3, 4 turns worth of it, and then it gets a full restore. My next Thunderbolt paralyzes it. Okay, I just need to tank 1 turn of damage and then take it out. I go for my last Thunderbolt and Flareon uses Quick Attack. Considering Chansey's terrible defense, this might be the end. Luckily I survive and retaliate, finishing the Flareon off. So I did it. I beat Pokemon Yellow with only a Chansey. This run was actually way easier than I expected. The gym battles with Blaine and Giovanni were a bit surprising, but other than that, Chansey aced this run. Thanks so much for suggesting this run. I really enjoyed it. Finally, I just want to say that if you're still watching, you're incredible. Thanks so much for all the comments. It keeps me motivated knowing there's people out there who love Pokemon and are enjoying these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next challenge.